great American too.
Ladies and gentlemen, today is December 6th, Tuesday, 2022, and you're watching the most pathetic sports show this side of the Mink League. Welcome to Down the Line. Tonight's host, we've got to my left, your right, we've got Jim Auen, hurricane survivor, COVID survivor.
Yes, sir.
What else we got there? Beer man. You can't forget that.
Bud man.
Bud man? Well, not everybody's perfect.
Well, gotta have a job.
And to the left, we got none other than JP. Spoke him if you got him. John Perrin.
Glad to be here.
Thanks for coming. Thanks for putting up with my wackiness.
In studio.
It's a little artwork. We've kind of rearranged around here. Don't know what you think. You probably recognize this sign from down at the stadium. And then we had some art studio draw this up. They also sell beer. They're a big distributor of beer. So shout out to Auen Distributing for going ahead and doing that.
Pretty good.
We can now have press conferences unlike Brian Farron. So that'll look good as a background. Gift wrap. There we go. Yeah. Appreciate it.
Very good.
Yeah. Anyway, we always start off our shows, meetings with a shout out to Ed Lawler. So here we go. We got Jameson down there. To Ed, wherever he's at.
Ed.
Just a few updates before we get going started here. We've got 21 players committed so far. 10 position, 11 pitchers. So hopefully that means pounding the strike zone. Ben Berg, if you're out there watching, Coach Berg, you're on here in about 2 weeks. So that's going to be our episode 3 guest, which I can't wait to have old Ben down here. But, funny thing is he's got to have his old dad come on. You'd think a senior in college, a catcher, or leader, we wouldn't have to have. Yeah, well, we are. I blew the advertising budget already for the year, so we're going to have to charge more or something.
That's not much of a budget either.
Well, no.
So 21 players signed already.
Yeah.
Which is about 21 ahead of this time last year. Probably the earliest we signed players ever, which I think speaks to Ben, his assistant, and the merchant.
Right, and we'll need a roster of 35.
Yep. So 35, and we're going to do a roster reveal coming up probably February, March. We're going to be talking there. We're going to remote some players in if we can, if they're more willing and able to, and we got to check with our attorney about the NIL rules. No transfer portal for the Carroll Merchants this year, guys, so don't worry about it. All right, we are back. Sorry about
Oh,
that,
gosh.
folks. It was
I
quite
switched over
entertaining.
the
Listen to
cord.
that. I don't know what happened there. We lost internet and we cut back in. You know, with all this fancy technology, I guess we should have invested a little bit more in our router. But
So we need to raise
so-
more money for a router.
so guys, get the donations coming in. So sorry about that, folks. Son of a gun.
It's all right.
You know-
we're a low budget TV program.
We told you that this was a very low budget, pathetic looking show. So anyway, nonetheless, we're back on it. Basically, what we're talking about is, I think we cut out as we were talking about how Jim got into it. So we talked you guys brought in a summer league, originally from the old league, what was that, Corn Belt League, wasn't that?
Yeah, and
Yeah.
the gentleman that helped us got this started found these teams: Storm Lake, Bancroft, Sioux Falls was in at one point, Albert Lee. Right. So it was through his connections that he was trying to create a league in Western Iowa.
And we fit the model. I mean, we just kind of he would bring a lot of ideas and suggestions, and very quickly, Jim and Chris and the rest of the people that all hands on deck. We had some help from the chamber originally that first season. We kind of immediately Carolized it. You know, we kind of put our spin on it. A lot of suggestions were made to do certain things, and we decided not to do them specifically because it wasn't part of the brand that we wanted to build longer term. So, but it's very much an evolutionary process, right? We try to learn every year. We try things. Some things never come back again. Some things you try to make better, and it's like any
we're
growing business.
we're building a franchise. We're building a brand. We're building the merchants experience. And like John said, there's bumps in the road at times, but we always power through it, and we're going to have a good
Which is
program again
which
this
is
year.
something not being from Carroll is one of the things I witnessed firsthand, not just with Merchants baseball, but that really exemplifies it, is that when an opportunity or adversity, people rally. People come out and help who you wouldn't normally think maybe would. And that happens every year, every single year.
It's really not difficult to get someone to say want to work the front gate or work the beer stand.
Yeah.
And
That's how we roped you in.
I know. You're scraping the bottom of the barrel to get me involved.
Yeah.
Now look, I
stopped and asked for directions, and you were slinging beers after that. Yeah.
And I came in, and all of a sudden, hey, we got a talk show now, and I don't know, you know how that happens. I opened my big mouth about it, and I was like, well, why don't you run with it? So here we are. So, and now I dragged these two guys on, and here we are. So they kind of ate it anyway. But yeah, the thing about the Carroll Merchants, I like that it's just it's a fun atmosphere. If you have a bad day at work or whatever, you can go down there. You're not sitting in a dreary bar. No offense to any of the bars out there. I've been in plenty of them in this county. But you're sitting outside watching live action. And even if baseball's bad, the beer's always cold and the interaction's always good with the crowd.
well, and that's it. It's very affordable. That's part of the plan. For a $10 bill, mom and dad can bring the kids. 12 and under is free. Sounds like I'm soliciting for business there, but you can make a family event. You can meet your friends, grab a dog, grab a beer, safe environment, good stadium. It's a classic stadium, beautiful field, which, when we bring kids in or the players, they're amazed at what we have. But we try to create that atmosphere of fan-friendly, fan experience, affordable entertainment. It's an add-on for the city of Carroll.
What's interesting is about the group of people that helped start this and that are engaged with it today and have been, is that purposefully we've not gotten involved in coaching teams, right? We hire coaches. We've been fortunate. We've had great coaches throughout, and we want them to do what they do, which is coach and manage teams and develop players. And then the rest of us collectively want to work on building the brand. yourself included, from what we do at the games, what we do with the sponsors, what we do with merchandise. So as much as this is about baseball, a bunch of us work on everything but baseball, which is kind of ironic in a way.
We do now spend some time, since we're traveling more. You know, our team does travel, extended road trip, maybe overnights, a little bit more management in that aspect.
Right.
Because in the prior seasons, it was
Home and back.
home and back.
Back.
Yeah.
Yep.
And what, Albert Lee was probably your
Right. But
long one?
everything, there weren't any overnight trips.
You know,
And now you're, what, Joplin, which is what, 9 hours? Not quite?
Jefferson City, Joplin, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
So we do road trip, and there is management with that and added cost to that. But again, what we by joining the Mink League, we've improved baseball overall.
Mhm.
Our competition's better. It's organized, so we're going to have to field better teams to be competitive in that situation.
I think the greatest compliment we got was, I believe it was, who was the rain shortened doubleheader? Was it Jefferson City? I think it was Jefferson City. They came up, we got game 1 in, and then we got
Right,
we got a
rained out.
gully washer in there in game 2. I just remember their coach saying, "You guys are on the right track. Keep it up." And I mean, that's a great compliment. Our first year in, we didn't know what we were doing. We were going from lower level summer ball leagues up into this Mink League, which has been around for basically eons. Let's just say, call it that way. And
over 100 years.
they didn't have to take us in. We're quite a ways north in their geographical area. We're kind of in the middle of nowhere, so it's just good. But let's go into branding here a little bit. We're getting into the Christmas shopping season. I'm not just wearing this because it's June, but we've tried to make ourselves available, and kind of when you see the CM or the Merchant or Murray. Speaking of Murray, we were going to remote him in tonight, but he couldn't figure out. He broke his cell phone. He's a Tom Brady fan, and he was a little too excited last night. So there's no Facebook anymore for Murray for a little bit until he gets his phone fixed. So, and just so you know, my phone works, so I'm not Murray, as everybody
Well,
thinks.
when we
But
find out who Murray is, we'll let the public know.
I think that's good. We'll have grand reveal
Who
and
is
everything.
Murray? We don't know.
Isn't he part of the witness relocation? Though I don't
not
think we can
sure.
let people know.
Is it
For his own
Murray? Or,
safety.
here's my question: is it Murray or Murray?
Well, if he was France, it'd be Murray.
But how do we know he's not France?
Well,
I mean,
he
he's
could be,
got a
but-
big head and beady
You
eyes.
know, once we
You
find
got a
out
point
if
there.
we can find out who Murray is, we'll let the public know.
Sounds good to
We'll
me.
do that. We
Sounds
don't
good
know
to
who he
me.
is right now.
So anyway, we've got Top Loft Clothing in town. Steph and crew down there does a good job here. We're going to show you a little video of what is all down there. Hold on here
This is in
again.
their new expansion, right? Where they had
This
bought-
is in their new expansion, as I believe, and I believe Steph and crew down there, they'll do whatever you want them to do. So here, let's see if there's one shot of it, and let's go another shot. Again, shout out to Steph Hackford for sending that over. Again, Top Loft Clothing, downtown Carroll, exclusive.
From a walk-in and purchase on the spot, yes.
Yep. So when you're looking for your last-minute Christmas gifts, guys, that's a good place to go. I know I could cross off a couple people on my list with that hat right there. Just listen to some comments in studio here, but nonetheless, guys, Steph will go down there. She'll make what you want to, but we kind of want to see Carroll merchants throughout the year and anywhere we go. JP, you're just telling me you're on a plane back from Vancouver, Canada, and you ran into a guy that recognized the brand.
Right. I had my merchant's sweatshirt, pullover sweatshirt, and the gentleman and his son were walking through, and he stopped and pointed and said, "I've heard of Carroll. You're a baseball fan." And it turned out he and his son were going on a college visit, and so he knew baseball. So I think that speaks to the brand.
You
Well,
notice
and the baseball bat on there probably.
you notice they call him a fan and not a former player. Just so you know. Just don't take
Duly
that.
noted.
Well, you're a little Cyclone, aren't you? Ames High? Yeah. Well, there's been a couple good graduates out of Ames High, I guess.
Yeah.
So anyway, let's so again, Christmas morning, guys. I'm a last minute procrastinator. Stuff's going to be there for you all the week up to Christmas. So, nothing better on Christmas morning than waking up and seeing your loved ones wearing Carol Merchant stuff in December when the season's not for 5 months away. Everybody wants the warm weather and that. And on the ticker there, I don't know if you guys can see, 175 days to Merchant's first pitch. Memorial Day is 175 days. So we'll get through winter. We'll make it through. I'm just having fun testing my new bottom third things, as you can see. But this would really be better if I had a producer. But again, we're not there.
We'll budget for that.
We'll do that. But so anyway, guys, so we're 175 days out. Let's recap real quick on 2022 season, both of you. What did you like? What did you want to see us improve? And what's your goals for 2023?
Well, our goal would always be more attendance, right? We probably averaged 475. First game we had 900. So from an attendance standpoint, that was extremely good. But our goal would always be we want to add more to that.
And what are we kind of working on to get there?
Well, one of the things that we so we'll get together as a group and we'll have discussions, but I think we need a couple things. One, we need to try to reach out to communities a little farther out. The Cedar Rapids of the world, Lake City. We need to get our reach a little farther. There's baseball fans there. Not sure they really know we exist or follow us. So that'd be one. I think if we work with our sponsors, so the public knows that our games are sponsored by a local business. And I think if we can enhance their experience, which they could then add to our customer base or our fan base, as a sponsor, you get 200 tickets, right? That for them to use at their disposal. So those are two areas that I think we could do to try to improve our brand reach and maybe our fan attendance.
I would add to that. We want to constantly improve our baseball. We want to be competitive. We want to win.
Strikes.
Strike.
Product on the field.
Right. And, that's a complicated formula, right? When you look at, we work hard to select the coaches and assistant coaches and try to give them the best support we can so they can continue to attract the best talent out there. So I think that's part of it. I think overall, last year, we made, for being off for 2 years, I think we had a phenomenal season. I think we had some people join our group, which was kind of small, and it's gotten bigger. Shep Yu, we've had some other people on the association, volunteers, all of them volunteers, that have all made the game incrementally experience better. And I look for us to continue to do that. I envision a Merchant game being an event, right? With the music, with the activities for kids and for adults and the sponsors and everybody involved. And like I said earlier, that's an evolutionary process, right? We have to keep trying new things, and some of them will throw out and some will keep expanding.
We have to continue to enhance the game day experience.
Absolutely.
And outside, but not outside of this, is we have to continue to look at our stadium and improving it and doing things for safety reasons, doing things to improve the stadium. We've got the stadium's old. It's in amazing shape. It's one of the best fields I've ever seen step foot on. Scott didn't know I stepped on the field.
Oh gosh!
But
I hope Scott's not watching because now there's two people that can't. Barry Bruner and John are not allowed on the field.
But what we can't do is sit back and not continue to invest in the stadium and make it the place that it is. I mean, we're blessed to have Scott Parcher that has a playing surface second to none, and we just have to make sure that we continue to build around it, both structure and activities that continue to grow it.
Just remember this: at the end of the game, 3-year-olds and 5-year-olds can run around the bases, but John and Barry are not allowed on the field.
Yeah.
Just remember that.
Well, I understand Barry, but
well, there was an incident.
Was it a cigarette incident or what?
We won't go there.
Okay.
It's just better. But children, kids, run the bases.
Yeah.
But John and
You
Barry,
stay out the back.
stay up.
You know, I guess that's one thing that is part of my undertaking is trying to get the game day experience so much the events between the innings and whether that be, you know, everybody loves cone zone. This cone zone's kind of ran its course, so we're going to be mixing that up a little bit. Would love to hear from you guys. If you guys have suggestions that we want to see, we have about 90 seconds to go between innings. Now, granted, I don't think we could do every inning. Maybe on the big marquee nights we will be able to, but we'd like to be you know 3 or 4 times the event. You know, one of the things, if there are any future players out there listening, we are going to be playing Are You Smarter Than a Merchants Baseball Player? So make sure you buff up on your baseball trivia between now and then, and a chance to really go head to head with those guys. But feel free to reach out, DM us, message us, email us, whatever you got to do. G-Man loves emails, so if you email Chris Whittaker
Especially
at
early in the morning. He's an early morning
Oh, put
guy.
that out.
put that email. I'll put G-Man's email out.
Yeah,
Just for,
do
yeah,
that.
yeah.
Yeah,
I might
have
be
fun.
fired by morning. I don't even know if I'll reach that.
You know,
but
part of that game, Shep, you're on the right course here with game day experience, but one of the things that we have got to, and it needs to be maybe a league thing, is speed of play. We got to keep the speed of play going, and we, you know, games, you know,
well, I think that's one of the things
can't have them run long.
every level of baseball's facing.
Yeah.
I just and you know what I think what it boils down to is pitch to contact. And this will be a conversation when I have with Ben next week about how he's going to handle his pitchers. And Ryan, you know, Ryan, if you're out there listening or come on to this here, we're going to remote you in. We got the software to do it if we have an internet connection. But nonetheless, you know, people don't want to see walks. People don't want to see balls. If we can throw strikes, things of that nature, speed it up. That's what we want. Walk-up music. Game day experience, we're talking about music. Some of this walk-up music drives me nuts. Get your butt in the batter's box and let's go. I have no problem with it going for a little bit there, but and a lot of that falls on our interns too about pace of play and that as well. And
But that also has to be a league discussion, and a lot of the gentlemen that run the Mink League are traditionalists. You know, we've talked about 7-inning games during the week as we did one season. That doesn't seem to, you know, right now the league wants to stay at 9, and that's where we'll live. But we've got to try to feed, you know, game day experience, speed of play, product on the field is extremely important.
so, you know, we kind of things that we're working on here in the merchants. You know, another thing too is we're kind of talking economic impact on Carroll as well as housing. JP, you want to talk briefly about that?
So when we first started back in 2017 ish,
Yeah.
A lot of lost brain cells here, folks.
no doubt.
Yeah. It's been a long time.
Obviously, our model works on having housing for the players, and so I initially kind of handled that part of it. I've got tremendous, I wouldn't even say help. I'd say Tara and Jen and others have taken over, so I have very little lifting to do there.
And real quickly, Tara and Jen, you are on my list to be on here, so prepare yourselves.
Excellent. Donnie, who was a gentleman who came down and introduced us to the Pioneer League, he and I were talking, and he said a few things that didn't resonate with me at the time, but they have now. And as I was driving over here, since we started playing, we've had over 150 kids come through here that have spent anywhere from some less than this, 60 days, 65 days, whatever math you want to use, where they come in, they're literally embedded in Carroll, they live with host families, and those people then leave and go back to their schools and then go on to life. And every year we're churning out another set of ambassadors who have got to come to Carroll, experience not just
The
Carroll
jail?
for a day. What?
The jail?
No, we haven't
Knock
had
on wood. Knock on wood.
We've been good with that.
But that have made an impression on them that they've taken with them wherever they go. And I believe sincerely that will come back and pay economic impact to us in the future. Somebody somewhere will be in a position where Carroll or the area will get mentioned, and they'll have the experience to say that might tip the scale.
But it's not just players. We've had discussions with families that have come to
Right,
Carroll.
right.
And they've been impressed with it. In fact, I talked with a couple from Texas, and I don't think they did move here, but they said, this would be a great town to live in. So not only do we have players who take a positive back home to them or back to their school, which helps us get future players.
But in housing, the part that I did not see happen or coming was that there would be, in this short period of time, this relationship built between the player and the host family. And we could do a show of, it probably should, with host families who have not only built relationships with players, continue them today. I know people who have in the regular college baseball season traveled literally halfway across the country to watch the player that spent 2 months with them playing college, or go visit them for Christmas. And they stay in contact. And I never would have imagined that. My wife and I had a foreign exchange student many years back and still have kept contact. And it was a tremendous experience, but I didn't believe that would happen in 60 days. But I think it speaks to Carroll. It speaks to the people. It speaks to the atmosphere that are making that kind of impression, not only on the kids, but on the host families. It's pretty crazy, but it's very cool.
One thing that goes into it is, how do we go about, you always say, okay, they're impressed with the town. How do we draw people to a town of 10,000 in the middle of nowhere, 100 miles from any hub? I mean, if you look at St. Joe, they're just outside of Kansas City, and St. Joe itself, 70,000 people. Joplin, 50,000 people. If I'm a college kid, why do I want to go to Carroll, Iowa, and play in the middle of the sticks with a bunch of cornfield and pastures?
Well, when
Fans and facility.
but you also have a group of individuals such as us that we want their experience to be good because we care about that. Think about busing. Windstar, phenomenal bus company that if you go to an Iowa State game, they do Iowa State bus, they do
29 minutes
they do
for G-Man.
They do the opposing team, and they do our team. So our kids, you talk about why come to Carroll. Well, first of all, Carroll has a lot to offer as a community. Second, the field. We want to run a good baseball team. We want to have a good coach. We want a good transportation. We want quality homes for them to stay in. We take every part of this as serious as we can. And when the community's asked to pony up dollars, or we go ask sponsors, there's a lot of money takes a lot of coin to run this team, but we want every part of that experience for the player to be positive. And we take personal interest in it.
And it resonates with visiting teams, right?
Oh, yes.
Everybody that comes in here for that 3 hours or whatever the amount of time is, we take great detail in everything from helping to coordinate busing, not the busing, but where they're going to park, offloading kids. If they're going to be like on an overnight trip, Chris helps them coordinate overnight lodging. So to Jim's point, it's a little bit boring. It's not flashy up front, but we do spend a lot of time and effort into the details. And I personally kind of associated with the actual game itself, the activities. I'm a firm believer that a lot of really good details add up to a great product. So
not to beat this bus thing to death. Remember the original bus we had?
oh yeah,
Was it Fred Flintstone?
Well,
it was
Flintstones.
Fred
Meet the
wasn't always-
Flintstones. All right.
they weren't always on time. Half the time air conditioning didn't work. Sometimes it broke down.
You know what this reminds me of? Major League, when they're on the plane.
Well,
Call the stewardess, Vaughn. I don't think there are any.
so
That's not what it was.
when you go from the old Studebaker to the Cadillac, and now again, Windstar buses are the best, and the team shows up and they're rested and they had a good experience, everything has to flow and work together. And when it does, which you sometimes take for granted, right?
Absolutely. And let's kind of talk into some of those game day details, because I don't think what some people realize is that there is a complete teardown and a complete new setup between the high school games and the Merchants games.
Yes.
Because of the alcohol. So what we have to do between games is we cannot leave alcoholic beverage can around. And luckily, with both ADs at both Kemper and Carroll, we have a great relationship with, and that we, knock on wood, we haven't had an issue yet. So let's kind of go back into that. So let's say we got a 6:05 first pitch. What time are you guys rolling in?
4:35-ish, right between getting the portable beer tent set up, to your point, Shep, that can't have it sitting out anywhere, to getting that set up, to getting the stuff ready for the players, the opposing team, our team, getting the scripts for the announcer and the roster set up. None of it is terribly complicated. There's just a lot of.
But the game, go back, the game is scripted. For example, every game has a script.
Right.
You know?
To try to keep that pace of play, but also provide the entertainment and recognition of sponsors, both the game sponsor and the other sponsors. So,
You know,
It's really kind of, when you get down to it, folks, it's more like a play when you get to it. You know, we're not Shakespeare around here. We're not doing any of that Act 1, Act 2, Act 3. But I was surprised to see in our intern this year, she did a phenomenal job with the script and kind of keeping on pace. Unfortunately, it was almost too good because people were going word for word with it and just kind of not free flowing, which that's not a bad problem to have. But we're talking a script, guys, of more or less 10 pages, front and back stapled as we're going through. There's almost a page front and back for each inning. So there is a lot more work that goes into it than one realizes. And, you know, we're pretty good, but if there's one member of the team missing, it shows. You know, one of us has to pick up the slack and avoid it from happening.
You know, once you get into the process, you're doing it after several games, it all becomes second nature. But as John mentioned, we got to get coolers ready for both dugouts. We got to get the beer tent ready. We got to get signage up on the outside fence for the sponsors and for ours. And, you know, like, are the umpires here?
That's sort of the announcers here, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
Is there somebody to run the scorebook? Is there somebody to run the music?
Right. And so it's kind of funny. You just kind of go along and you think, oh, we got to get this done. We got to get this done. Do we have somebody for 50-50 raffle? So what's kind of interesting, we kind of all know what everybody's thinking. And different people can jump in, but because you're doing all this every game's about the same.
But we want to try to make every game better.
Yes.
We don't want it to be scripted. To Shep's point, it felt very scripted about halfway through the year, and I think that's one of the areas that we need to kind of shake it up a little bit. I think, you know, if we can get Murray out of rehab or wherever he's at, if we can get him at more games, if we can get more on-field activities that add a little more interaction with the crowd, I think that's an area that we can do better at. I think we kind of dipped our toe in the water last year. I think there's a huge opportunity there. So.
I think the sheriff's department might put Murray on a work release.
He does look good in orange, I can tell you that.
We might look
Do they go away from the striped uniforms?
Yeah.
How do you know?
I read it on the internet.
Uh-huh. You know, folks, he's been in Maricopa County for the last 2 election cycles, and then he still comes back. So I'm still trying to figure out how that
I'm not
works.
a resident. I can't vote.
I actually think his name was written in on the
In Sharpie or what?
Yeah.
Yeah.
John.
Vote often.
I vote for John.
Yeah.
That's my motto. Vote often.
Yeah. Yeah. Early, that was Chicago.
Early and often. Yeah.
Early and often.
All right. Well, kind of touched on most of our things. I don't see too many comments out there in our comment section. Either that or the software is not working the best. But again, if you guys can go out there, there's several Carroll Merchants pages online. For some reason, we can't remember a damn password around here. So we had to make 3 Carroll Merchant pages. So the official Carroll Merchants Baseball is the official one. It is hard to find. The YouTube algorithm hasn't picked us up yet. So if you can go out there, share it, like it, we're going to try to do that too. We're going to promotion. We got snow in the forecast. Okay, this promotion is going to run through March 31st. We want to see Carol Merchant snow sculptures. Okay, luckily for you, Murray looks like a giant snowball anyway. So submit them to us on Facebook. If we get snow, whatever snow we get, if we're talking 2 inches, 3 inches, I don't know, we're bound to get it in Iowa sometime. But these nice little, I don't know what they are. They're not Yetis because we're too cheap. The budget's not there. These nice laser engraved Carol Merchant's tumblers will be the prize. So we'd like to see, will depend on what we see, but the winner will probably receive 2 of those. And we'll kind of go from there and see how many entries we get and go from there.
And G-Man might have a bag of some leftover merchandise that we could actually add to that. Collectibles, as we might say.
You know,
how'd you acquire one of those?
Well, I happen to live in the town that they were made in, so somehow I got involved.
Back with truck, maybe.
Well, it's down by a river is where I had to pick it up.
In a van.
In a van, windowless van down by the river.
You live in a van down by the river?
Oh, don't get me going here.
All adding up now.
I don't have enough technology to tone my mic down to do that, but we'll put it this way. Maybe if you're runner-up in that prize, Matt Foley will make an appearance, but make sure your kids are probably not home that night because that might scar them for life.
We might move that to like after 8 o'clock.
Yeah. And it might wake him up. If you don't know who Matt Foley is, look up Saturday Night Live, Matt Foley, band down by the river, motivational speaker. It's definitely why I'm at where I'm at. So we're going to turn the page now. We're going to wrap up here. But before we do so, we're going to have a little fun with our guest. And you out there, you want to comment in on some of these. We're going to play a little trivia here tonight, formerly known as Fair or Foul.
Oh, boy.
We're going to go JP versus Jim Auen. And in the spirit of my shirt, we're going to start off with the first question here. Bob Uecker hit 14 career home runs. He was a 200 career hitter, okay? 7 seasons, I believe. He hit 3 home runs off of 3 future Hall of Famers. Who was the most famous Hall of Famer he hit the home run off of?
Sandy Koufax.
That's correct.
He's like 100 years old.
I wouldn't say that,
Sandy
JP.
Koufax was playing when Jim was in.
So funny fact about this.
Is that true?
That is Bob Uecker even joked that after he hit it, he probably ruined Sandy Koufax's chance of getting in the Hall of Fame. That's how the gratitude of that situation was at that time.
It doesn't matter if I get any more right tonight. It does not matter.
I've been set up.
Okay.
Sorry, what was that you said, Chuck?
We'll get him back in a little bit here, JP. I got one for you. All right. What team did Babe Ruth hit his first home run against?
New York.
Oh, I'm assuming the Yankees.
Well, he played for Boston.
He did when he first started.
Right.
Yeah, so that's correct. 2-0. JP, if you don't
something in this century or
oh man. Oh, okay, here's one for you. Who was the first father and son to play as teammates in the major leagues?
Ripken.
No. It was not the Ripkins. It was the Ken Griffey and
Griffey.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yep.
I watch Wheel of Fortune.
Tell them what they want.
All right, if you don't know this, we're going to boot you out of Iowa and back to Maricopa County. Bob Feller was from what Iowa town? There we go. All right, JP's on the board. And we got a pity clap already out here. All right, little fun fact here. You may not pick this one up. What was designed to be similar to a baseball in size and weight? It's a broad question. So what was designed to be similar to a baseball in size and weight?
And used in sports?
Used in a very important purpose. Thousands of lives were either saved or technically lost by this invention.
Bob? A nuclear bomb?
Not nuclear. World War II, they made grenades after a baseball because baseball was America's pastime. They figured if young man could throw a baseball, they could throw a grenade.
I should get a hat.
I think that's really
because they,
good.
because they both go boo.
Yeah, that's really good.
And sending shrapnel all over the place. So hey, there, the more you know.
That's interesting.
All right, now we're gonna wrap this up even quicker. Lightning round: Christmas vacation or planes, trains, and automobiles?
Christmas vacation.
Chevy Chase or John Candy?
John Candy.
Iowa State bowl game expectations. Oh, never mind. Sorry, punctured.
That's not
That didn't
going to
happen.
occur.
That didn't happen.
That's
Yeah.
wishful thinking. Merry Christmas. Huh?
Merry Christmas on that one.
Yes.
Favorite kind of non-Budweiser beer? Plead the fifth on this.
No, I like Sierra Nevada Pale Ale.
I'm out.
You don't drink beer? No.
And if I did, it would be a Budweiser product, always.
All right, and lastly, JP, this one's for you. Rambo, or want to take a guess at who I'm going to ask?
No, go ahead.
Chris Whitaker.
You know, Chris, if you back him into corner, he can be wicked.
The man's like a raccoon.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, he's pretty docile, but don't let that mild mannered fool you. I mean, he is.
When we have our
He's
little
wicked.
baseball meetings, he's got the gavel.
He does, and he's not afraid to use it.
He lets you know he's in command.
Yeah, I'll go with G-Man.
Really? I'm going with Rambo. G-Man, you heard it here first.
Yeah.
All right. Christmas plans?
Staying home.
Staying home? Same here.
Family. Yep.
Family? Yep. Good for you guys. Any closing up? Last chance to say anything?
My comment is I want to thank our sponsors and all our volunteers and the fans that come out to enjoy baseball, and we look forward to seeing the same group, sponsors and fans and the volunteers, to help us again and join us for some fun baseball this summer.
If anybody's looking for a speaker out there, we'd be happy to come talk Carroll Merchants baseball anytime. Rotary here next week, Monday at noon. Got Rotary.
Who's participating?
To be determined.
Okay.
To be determined. But Murray loves to make appearances. He's not as famous as Santa Claus yet, but I think his protective order is up, so I think we should be good.
For a while, so I think
he's back. He's doing well.
Yeah,
He's doing well. Yeah.
No harm, no foul. as we
Yeah, he's
say.
like on
And as
step
well.
8 or 12.
He just needs to quit hanging out with like Pat McAfee and that. That's the problem.
You need to ask John the same question this week. What he thinks for what he wants for this coming season.
Oh, what do you want for this next coming season? Christmas list.
What's your Christmas list
Yeah.
for Merchants baseball?
For Merchants baseball, exactly what Jim said. Personally, I enjoy the fans. I enjoy seeing people enjoy the game. That's very gratifying to me. But on a personal level, I just enjoy the group of people that I get to work with on this. It's not work for me. It's really a pastime, and it is a collection of fun personalities. No two are alike, and that's what makes it fun. So,
And not overly serious.
no,
We take
No.
it serious. I mean,
absolutely,
we take
absolutely.
it very seriously. We want to run a good baseball team.
But it's fun. It is.
But
It is a lot of fun, and
it's a-
I think anything you do associated with Merchants is fun.
It's a gang, not a club.
It's a gang, not a club.
Yeah.
That's one way to look at it. I don't know what I got to do for initiation yet, but I'm dreading that one. Anyway, folks, anything else to add?
Thank you for having us on.
Absolutely,
Good.
yeah.
Glad to be on here. 2 weeks roughly. The week of Christmas, I believe it is. That's hard to believe. Christmas is 2 weeks away. Is there enough time to make up for the naughty and nice list?
Ooh, I have to get hustling here.
I
A
know.
lot of work to do.
Anyway, we'll have Coach Ben Berg on, and our VP of kind of our players and team personnel, Rod Berg, will be joining him as well. Yes, they are father and son, but that'll be a good one to talk to.
Does he know
Oh yeah.
Rod
I
knows?
talked to him. Yep,
Rod's
yep, yep.
been incredibly helpful
Oh,
and a
very
great
much.
addition to, like you on the marketing and game stuff. Rod has brought a wealth of baseball experience and knowledge. It's helped us do all the things that Jim's talked about a lot better. So
What's really kind of interesting, none of us are really baseball players and know much about baseball. So
Right.
it's kind of nice to have a guy that knows baseball.
Absolutely.
I mean, he's our man. So Rod does a great
Absolutely.
job.
So we'll come on. We'll quiz him a little bit. He's going to come back then in February or March, one of the two yet, when we have kind of the roster solidified. And we're going to do a roster reveal. We're going to hopefully get pictures and everything and go ahead and fling those up there if we can find a producer by then. If not, we're going to have to figure that out. But nonetheless, we'll talk to Ben. I know Ben's excited to get back here and start here a little bit. I think it'll be good. And then some future guests here. If you want a guest you want to see, let us know. Of course, G-Man's been on once. We've got the two other Godfathers on here. I suppose I could probably do a show by myself, although I don't know if my wife can't stand me talking that long, so let alone I don't know how anybody else is. But
there you go.
Yeah.
I don't know if
Have
I like
G-Man
that idea.
host.
Remember that conversation about a raccoon? I think I better keep my distance for a while.
Your initiation.
Yeah, there you go. I don't know about that.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know.
We might get banned. Okay.
That didn't work out for Wayne. Okay, we're not going there.
No.
But Jen and Tara are housing directors. Goose and Jim Gredeman, they're going to be on talking volunteers, and that's going to be a good one. Ryan Picard, Coach Picard, I'd like to get him on here. We're going to have to remote him in because it's going to be hell of a lot nicer weather down there than it is up here this time of year. And once we get close to the season, we will start bringing players in, if not even remoting in. Players kind of get busy. Their season starts full swing right after Christmas break, and that'll roll right through basically till they come to Carroll. So we might catch an off day where we can talk to a couple of them, which would be nice. But
that's one more thing. It's always fun when we have the kind of meet and greet with sponsors and families, and the players get together, and a lot of them really don't know each other very well. And it is fun to watch a team develop.
Mm-hmm.
By the end, some kids know each other when they meet because they played against each other. But by the end of the season, they're playing together as a team, and they're into it, and they've become friends. So it is kind of fun to watch that morph through the season. Watch these kids come together.
Can't wait to do it again. Can't wait to get out of this cold weather and get right back to it.
And have a cold beverage.
Cold beverage. Why does a cold beer taste better on a hot summer day than a cold winter day?
I'm not really sure. We should probably do some more research on that.
It's kind of like a Panamanian flute band. Do they warm your heart with a cool island song, or do they cool your heart with a warm island song? That's the question.
It's too complicated for us.
That
I don't
sounds
know.
like Google.
Yeah.
That sounds like Google. I don't know. Google lately has just been kind of weird. But anyway. All right, folks. We're going to wrap it up here. Again, thanks for joining us. Terrible show. I don't even know if we can call it a TV show. Maybe someday. But public access would be wonderful.
Wayne's World.
Wayne's World. There we go.
Yes,
They were ahead of our time. For those that were kind of stuck in our freeze, we apologize for that. Again, it's a terrible show. We thought we could figure our internet out. I think it was on me. I don't think I had the right Wi-Fi setting on here. So my apologies there. If you commented in the group chat, that was a little slow here with this new software. Just some bugs we got to work out. Again, appreciate all you turning in here, and have a merry and blessed Christmas and a happy New Year. And
thanks to Chef too. This doesn't just happen. I mean, he put a lot of time and effort just to not only decorating, but getting everything kind of lined up here, which is just another example of how people get sucked into our group and then they become like
Yeah, excellent.
I like being that awkward guy in a venture group. First time I was met, I was told I was a smart aleck. Actually, it was worse than that, but feeling was kind of mutual. Anyway, we worked through that.
This is great. Appreciate you doing this.
So yeah, well, thanks for coming on. It doesn't work without guests, so appreciate it. It's pretty painless, so if you're my future guest, it's fun. Come on here. So anyway, we're gonna wrap up here. We will probably see you in about 2 weeks, and we have Coach Berg and Rod Berg, VP of Player Personnel. Thanks for tuning in, and we will see you next time.
Go Merchants.
Good night.